In this episode, we do a lot of stuff. What's up, guys? We are starting again today, work on the Supra, and I got the fuel fitting I needed in order to get this fuel line all wrapped up. So when we get the fuel filters and stuff, we're gonna stick them on the car. The fuel system will be done. Just gotta clean up a little bit of wiring in the back, and then turbo's on, wastegate's on. I think that's about it. I pulled the calipers off. I'm just gonna redo them since I have time. I didn't think this was coming as quickly as it did, but that doesn't matter. We're gonna get the calipers painted up and then back on as well, and then the car should be pretty much ready to go. Change the oil filter, and then ready to go to the tuner, I guess. So let's get started. So first, I pulled off one of the rear calipers. Then for some reason, I forgot about the caliper and started working on the fuel filters. This is as simple as screwing everything in while spilling ethanol all over your face. Okay, now that that's done, let's get back to the calipers. I'm using a combination of a sanding disc on an angle grinder and a wire wheel on my drill to take the calipers back down to bare metal. Don't forget to use eye protection as well as gloves and earplugs. Earplugs are especially important because tinnitus sucks big time. Alright, so here is the caliper, and it's looking pretty good. Most of the paint is off, and you can see that it's not totally smooth. It does have a lot of rough edges, but that shouldn't matter. Once we get the primer on there, it should be pretty smooth. So now I just need to go in and make sure I tape this up properly. This is not properly. And then hit it with some mineral spirits to get everything off, and then we'll start hitting it with the primer and see what it looks like. The primer goes on with 2 light coats and then 1 heavy coat with at least 10 minutes in between each coat. The base coat of black is applied exactly the same way, but this time with more slow motion shots. Here, I'm applying a decal of the Supra logo, similar to how the calipers come from the factory. After letting that dry, I'll spray a clear coat and then we're done. After that, I can start on heat wrapping our dump pipe. This is the biggest dump I've ever had the pleasure of handling, so I ended up using most of my 50-foot toilet roll. Header wrap roll. I wet the heat wrap first to make it a bit more pliable, and wore gloves to prevent my hands from getting covered in fiberglass. Awesome, so here is our completed downpipe, and it looks pretty good actually, not too bad. It's pretty straightforward to do, to be honest. You just kind of wrap it at kind of a 1/4 inch around itself, or rather on the bottom of the last wrap. Then you just keep going down all the way until you're at the end, and then just periodically stick on the clamps, and then you're good to go. So I'm gonna let this sit out and dry, and then we'll continue on to the next step. With the brake caliper properly dry, we can go ahead and reinstall it. Brakes are easy peasy to install with only a few bolts. Just make sure you torque everything to spec, and don't get brake fluid on your new paint job, it'll ruin it. Don't mind the rust on the rotors, that'll take care of itself as soon as we drive the car. While I was reinstalling the wheel, I got a bit curious as to how wide these tires actually are. Damn! Next up, we're pulling the front calipers off to get those bad boys painted up as well. You can see how poor of
of a paint job the previous owner did, whoever painted these, with the caliper. They're in horrible, horrible shape, and they look terrible, so good thing we're ripping them out. Oh, come on, man. I give up. Not working on cars anymore. I can't do it.
After realizing that cars was the only thing I'm good at, I came back and pulled the caliper off. As you may have guessed, the process on the front calipers is exactly the same as the rears. Grind them back, clean with mineral spirits, and then paint. While the primer is drying, I decide to take my dump pipe that is, and reinstall it. It's just one V-band to bolt it up to the turbo, and another V-band under the car to connect it to the exhaust.
Alright, so that's the downpipe done. Looks pretty good. O2 sensor's in, it's plugged in over there, and it all looks good. It's still a little loose from here, so I can kind of wiggle it around when I install the rest of the exhaust down there, but I'll probably do that later. Let's get back to painting the caliper.
We let that caliper dry and moved on to the front hub. Here we need to install ARP extended studs to work with our new wheels. Now you can pull the hub out and press these in, but we're doing it the ghetto method and giving the factory studs the old tappa with a big friendly hammer and pulling the new studs through with a nut and spacer. I smashed the disc back on and got the freshly painted caliper bolted and plumbed up. I threw on the new wheel, took a step back, and reveled in the sheer badassery that is the complete custom wheel. After that, I put the car back on the ground, munched on some delicious pizza, and hit the hay. The next morning, I smashed right into it, starting off by jacking up the right side of the car and pulling the other two calipers off. One step I hadn't mentioned earlier is to remove all of the caliper hardware, including the pads and the shims, prior to grinding. I won't bore you with more painting clips, so let's skip ahead to installation. Now, in hindsight, this was pointless because I ended up ordering rotors and stainless steel lines, so the calipers are going to come off again anyways. But it's mad JDM to do twice the work, so that's how we're doing it. Then, I finally got around to reinstalling the coil packs. Or rather, I started to reinstall the coil packs, only to find that I dropped one of the bolts somewhere, and I sure as hell wasn't going to find it in the crack den that is my garage. So I grabbed the keys to the burrs, rolled over to Ace Hardware, and grabbed some fresh bolts.
Alright, back from the hardware store, and picked up some bolts. Not exactly the same as the old bolts, but they're the same thread, so hopefully it should work, so let's check it out.
The new bolts were perfect, so I bolted in the coil packs, plugged in the harness, and attached the valve cover breather hoses. And, of course, with that out of the way, we could slap on the ubiquitous Supra engine cover, because it's not really a 2JZ unless it's got the engine cover. After that, I tightened up the exhaust, which, like everything else, was just one single V-band. Then it was time to change the oil. The oil was actually in great shape, with no shiny metal particles and a fresh oil color and smell. Of course, in usual fashion, I wasn't paying attention and managed to deposit another couple quarts of oil all over the floor, and my tools, and my camera.
Not again.
Once that was cleaned up, I employed the help of Mr. Peter to lube up the 2J with some fresh oil. We also swapped out the oil filter with a fresh TRD filter, overnighted from Japan, and then tried to start the car, which resulted in this.
Well, unfortunately it seems that Mr. Fuel Filter here is actually leaking from the filter body itself, not from the line. I'm just gonna buy a whole new filter and then replace it. So that was the only reason we couldn't start the car today. But that gives me some time, so I'm gonna figure out all the other small stuff. And then we'll get it started, hopefully in a couple days.
So, while the car was still down, I decided to completely gut the wiring that was in the trunk for the fuel pumps and redo it in a clean and efficient manner. Again, this is boring stuff, but these small things are what make a build really stand out, and it not only looks better, but will withstand the test of time. So next time you're putting bus links on a dirty Nissan, you won't have a fuel pump cut off and grenade your precious motor. Because, let's be honest, blowing up motors is for people with RB26s.
Alright, and we're done. It took forever actually. It took about three and a half hours to get all this done, but rewired everything. So the relays are over here on the side, and then the wiring runs in, obviously, through the cap into the fuel pumps, and then all the power and signal goes out there and into the world. And it's pretty good actually. Sorry, I'm holding a light and filming. That's it. It's pretty clean. So now we just need to put in the little cardboardy, whatever that thing is, plate, and then the carpet over that, and then it'd be pretty much done.
The next morning I decided to pull the front bumper off in order to remove the intercooler and the old water meth injection tank that had been in there from the car's previous life.
So there's the bumper, very nice, and ta-da! It's a good look at the front mount intercooler. You can see it's absolutely massive. Look at that. Look at that. I can't even look at that. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, I forgot how much I love this intercooler. You can see it's a little bit dirty, and these tanks used to be for the water methanol injection system that this car had in a previous life. So I gotta pull these out. I think they're just sitting on top of the intercooler. So I think there's a bracket down there and down there. I'm gonna pull the intercooler off, and then we should be good to go. But first, of course, we gotta take the pipes out. So let's do it. Now that we got the intercooler out, let's get rid of whatever the stupid box is. Nice. Alright, I'm just gonna cut this wire. Adieu. Happy descent. Thank God for that.
I took a minute to admire this delicious tile blow-off valve, and then sat down and recalled on my years with the NHRA Philharmonic to play you guys a fitting outro piece. This one's dedicated to my mate, Moog. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for watching, guys.